And we are live. All right, welcome everybody to another figure action Star Trek Picard review of episode 3. This episode started off with another flashback. The first part of the flashback that we saw was a quick recap of the destruction of the shipyards on Mars. And we got to see F8 again, real quick before he blew his brains out. But what I really liked was which I was not expecting. I knew we were going to keep getting a lot of flashbacks, but I really didn't think we'd get this much flashbacks as far as like heavy character development stuff. I thought it was just going to be like the stuff like seeing the shipyards explode and stuff like that, just to kind of get us caught up. But this was like we got a nice scene here between Picard and Raffi just after those events.
Right, and I thought that was a very good job of kind of establishing who the heck Raffi was. You know, this is a character who came out of the blue.
Yeah, so Raffi is Picard's former, first officer. We don't really get any details, unless I missed it, of what ship she was first officer of.
Correct. We haven't gotten that yet.
Yeah, so we don't know that. But he basically has just come out of a meeting with Starfleet, and we take it that this is
the meeting.
This was the meeting, yeah, where they decided that they're banning the synths, they're dismantling all the current synths, and they are not going to help the Romulans at all. And this was like a big moment that really does a lot of character development as far as catching us up with where Picard, not only just Picard, but where Raffi is now, and why she's kind of seems like she's holding a bit of a grudge against Picard.
I was very impressed. I mean, it was just such a heavy dialogue scene, which we hadn't. Believe it or not, we actually hadn't gotten that much exposition in this. It was just two people sitting and talking.
Well, we've definitely got a good bit of people sitting and talking. This show is not going to disappoint.
No, well, you know what I'm saying, but it's just, I mean, they were just sitting and talking. There wasn't even, like, conflicting dialogue or dropping F-bomb. I think there was a bullshit, but that was about it.
There was, yeah. Yeah, this episode was definitely a heavy, a dialogue-heavy episode, which
I thought it was kind of interesting for basically seeing how, the only way to put it is like the arrogance of Picard. You know, I told them either get me or I will resign, and they're like, and they took my resignation.
Yeah, and she. So, well, first of all, I wanted to point out that I guess when you're going to take an actor this old and make them very young, it is very obvious. The subtle de-aging that they did on Patrick Stewart here was not bad at all. Like
definitely better than the Brent Spiner.
Yeah, like I guess they really didn't have to do much to make him look 14 years younger, but they did make him look 14 years younger. He did not really sound 14 years younger. But
well, Patrick Stewart sounded like that since 30.
I don't know. If you go back and watch the old movies, you could definitely hear the age in his voice. But yeah, they did find an occasion to sit down on this bench here, Dave. So not to disappoint you. But yeah, it's kind of cool here. They still have these like tablets that they had on the Enterprise D, which we really didn't see these in the movies. After the Enterprise D was destroyed, I don't remember ever seeing these tablets ever again. I don't think they had them on the E.
No, they did not.
And I'll go back
and then in the movies, though, they really didn't have many scenes that would involve that. So
yeah, that's true. Well, you know what? No, he didn't. I thought for maybe he had his tablet in First Contact when he was in the ready room, or not. Actually, it wasn't even in the ready room when he had that argument with. Oh, you know what? I can't remember her name. What was the female character's name?
In First Contact.
It was trying to convince him to stay and fight the Borg. Well, anyway, I thought he had a tablet in his hand, but he didn't. He was actually trying to he was trying to fix or remodulate a
Me and First Contact.
A rifle.
Me and First Contact have a bitter history.
Really? Oh, I love that movie. That's actually one of my favorite Star Trek movies.
That's maybe for another discussion. If we ever want to do a Star Trek
Hey,
discussion,
we can do whatever we want. We're just
I don't want to. I didn't want to derail, but
that's all right. No, we're two nerds talking about Star Trek. There's
well,
no
you know,
rules.
like when I first saw First Contact, I thought that was gonna be like Borg heavy in space, tons of space battles, not the whole time travel back end.
Okay.
You know,
Well,
oh look, here's the Borg cube. Now we're just down to like 12 Borg. You know,
yeah.
I'm just saying, like I was.
Nah, yeah, you're right. You're right. But that's like I don't know. Star Trek
That's
to
Star
me,
Trek, right?
I've never expected big, cinematic space battles until these new movies came along. Like that's a Star Wars thing. Like when I think of like big
Oh,
and
I
like
know.
Battlestar Galactica and Star Wars and stuff like that.
Well, think about like how Nemesis was. You had that big ship going through, and they were still doing the Star Trekky stuff. But
Yeah.
I was kind of thinking First Contact would have been a little more like that, as opposed to going to 24th century Earth and all that.
I've heard a lot of people say that Nemesis really killed the whole I don't think they were going to really do that many more movies anyway, but that Nemesis was so bad that it killed it. And I don't and a lot of people say that Insurrection was so bad
I
that
hated
it killed Nemesis's chance before Nemesis was even made.
Yeah,
But I disagree. I actually like Insurrection more than Nemesis.
I think Nemesis is it's kind of like Undiscovered Country, where when it first came out, you kind of appreciate it on like later watches.
Yeah, I can see. Well, a lot of those old movies too are like that. That besides like obviously like Wrath of Khan, that has like unanimous love. But
Right.
anyway, let's re-rail. So yeah, basically in this scene, Picard basically said that yeah he tendered his resignation. They accepted, and she gets basically like paged or hailed, and she's like she already knows that for whatever involvement she had in this whole thing, that she's basically going to get
Fired.
thrown under the bus, fired, reassigned, and I believe in the following scene when they're talking that she alludes to the fact that she just basically quit, also resigned at that point, and a lot of the bitterness that she has with him stems from he was able to retire and then go back to his chateau where he's got this nice mansion and he's got this cushy life, and she's got like this little soups it's nice, but basically a trailer. It's a
21st. It's the 20 whatever century we're in.
24th century version of a trailer. Is that where we're in, the 24th century?
I get, and then she's sitting there smoking up.
Yeah. So that's what I want to talk about. Like she said,
snake reefer.
She called it snake oil, right?
Snake reefer. She called it reefer.
She did. Okay. So she plucks this thing off of the plant and sticks it in a crack pipe or a nice vaping pen, and she smokes it.
Soon to be at your next Star Trek convention. I guarantee that vaping is going to be out there.
I thought that was freaking hilarious because I was like, because like when I first saw that, and of course, like I'm watching it at home and I got kids are bouncing around and everything, and I'm like, did she just like stick a crack rock in there? What the heck did I just see?
And she was chugging that wine.
Yeah. I think quite a few people can probably sympathize with that. She got her hands on that bottle of wine and she just went to town on it. But yeah, after this whole like her basically like finally being able to get this out, I guess, but she's pissed off at him and she storms off.
Well, you gotta admit, she didn't just say like you never called. She's like, dude, I hit rock bottom. I went past rock bottom. I've spent every night here getting drunk, getting high, and getting angry, and my life has not been good. But not once did you even call and say hi.
Nothing. Yeah.
I mean, she lost her job. He went and started the winery, but and got to live his not quite dream life, whatever. And she is sitting there in in a trailer park down by the desert. And dude, you couldn't even check on me just to make sure that, hey, I'm still alive.
Yeah. So keep in mind something here, though, because I wanted you to remember they are very much in the middle of the desert.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't got neighbors or anything like that. She's not in a trailer park. She's in the middle of nowhere, and she storms off, right? So I know we're gonna get to another scene here first, but just remember that they're in the middle of nowhere. Anyway, we get to meet our old friend Hugh.
That took me a second. That is the same actor, isn't it?
Yes, that is the same actor. Don't ask me his name because I don't remember. But
it's okay. He hasn't been in anything since.
He has not. So they were pretty easy to get him to come back. But I would say, if he hasn't been acting at all, I mean, I'm sure he probably has done some work. He handled himself very well. It didn't seem like they just plucked somebody, this guy from who hasn't worked in 20 years and threw him on set. I'd have to look at his filmography, but I would not be surprised if he has kept busy in some way, because he performed pretty well. But he's watching a security tape of what we saw in the last episode, where she spoke that former Borg's language, his original species language.
Which they called them XBs.
Are they calling them XBs?
Yeah, X-Borg.
X-Borgs, yeah. And they called his species the Nameless, right? Is that what it was?
They called it. Well, all the species that were the Borg that were in the Alpha Quadrant or the Delta Quadrant are the Nameless, because they really don't know what they are.
Gotcha. Okay. So she somehow knows his language, and he's telling her basically how gifted that she is, and he is basically the director of pretty much this whole program. I don't know if he's completely in charge of the whole Borg cube that they're on, but he is the director of the reclamation project, which is, I found that to be a little unusual, because he is former Borg. He seems to be the only former Borg that we've seen so far that is normal and he's recovered, other than Picard.
And
7 and 9.
7 and 9. Well, that's the thing. We haven't really seen many of the other reclaimed ones except that one room.
That one room where they were, they
were all what did you call them? The aimless?
Nameless.
No. Not the Nameless, specifically those ones.
I don't know, but whatever they were dead. No,
they weren't. No, not room where she was in, because those were all the Romulans.
Oh, no, you're talking about in this episode or last episode?
No, this episode.
Oh, okay. In this episode, yeah. I thought you were talking about last episode, where they were the guys on the table and they took his arm off.
The Nameless specifically are all the old...
Gotcha.
Again, the stuff from the Delta Quadrant, because we don't know what their race is.
Yeah.
We don't know what race Hugh is, because he was from the Alpha Quadrant.
Yeah, and so let's talk about Hugh real quick. The last time we saw Hugh, it was I, Borg, correct? What was the name of the episode? I, Borg?
He was only in the one episode.
And he basically, if my memory serves correctly, he basically volunteered to not resist and go back to the collective after being nursed back to health and somewhat befriending the crew of the Enterprise.
Didn't? Yeah, I can't remember. Did they put the flaw in him or not? I'm actually going back to the episode.
I don't know if they put a flaw in him, or if it was just the fact that it proved that a Borg that he was for a while there disconnected from the collective. That they could basically regain their personality.
I'm getting
or recover. I wouldn't say he regained his personality, but he redeveloped a consciousness, a sense of
individualism.
Yeah, being an individual, which was the main thing that the Borg are not. They are very much not individuals. But if memory serves correct, at the end of that episode, I'd like to go back and rewatch that one. But
I'm actually going on the the Star Trek Wikipedia.
I believe he basically, in exchange for their safety, decided to go back and not resist. Because basically, if they would have kept harboring him, the Borg would have kept pursuing them.
Correct. So there is definitely.
And they didn't have quantum torpedoes yet.
No. No. He was in Descent. I forgot about. I'm in here right now. He was in the episodes where Lore took over. Remember?
Oh, yeah.
When Lore took over the Borg, he basically split himself up, fractured himself from the Borg, and Lore took that whole group.
He was in that episode.
Correct, because he's the reason why.
At the end, the last time we saw him, though, was he still Borg? And did he leave with the Borg, or did we know that he was... Or do we have some gaps to fill in that? Because I'm wondering if that's the case, then how did he find himself back on this particular cube? And if he... he was...
Sorry, hold on. Sorry. Freaking pop-up. There's a pop-up.
A pop-up. Kill it. You get to get some antivirus there, Dave.
No, that was a pop-up ad. But last time he was shown was in iBorg. So, not Borg, Descent.
In Descent. He was definitely in Descent with Lore.
Correct, because apparently that's how Hugh started individuals among the Borg, and Lore capitalized on that.
Okay. So are we going
That's why that ship, you remember they weren't in a Borg cube. He was in that other weird ship.
Are we, I guess, going to get a connection to Lore? I thought they were just going to drop the whole Lore thing, but maybe he'll be a bridge
please. I could only...
to Lore.
Holy... Okay. Tuck that in the back of your head when we get to later in the show.
Yeah, let's keep going. So anyway, I said, they are in the middle of nowhere, and I wish Matt was here because he would appreciate this. What do they find out in the middle of nowhere? That's not a rock. That is a freaking bench to sit on. It's almost like they just knew, Picard's going to walk all this way to catch up with her. He's going to want to sit down and talk. And that's exactly what they do. They could have sat on one of these rocks over here. But no, there was a bench in the middle of nowhere. I love it.
I applaud that.
So this is this scene here kind of sets up another whole mystery thing, which I'll get to a little bit later. But
God, it cracked me up. Why did she have to be wearing sunglasses like a man in black, but still in a Star Trek uniform?
Yeah, really, that is a little odd. But you would think that they would have had a little bit more futuristic,
or at least be in civvies.
Something, right? What is this other pin? She's got the Starfleet badge. What's this other?
Oh, that's good. I didn't even notice that.
I don't know what that is. I don't know. So basically, she's not a commander. Commodore. Commodore. She's on to Dr. Girardi, basically saying, you met with Picard multiple times. What did you tell him? Yada, yada, yada. I kind of think that Commodore O is going to be holding something over Dr. Girardi. And that Dr. Girardi is putting herself back into connection with Picard later in this episode for a reason. So we'll get back to that. Here's Raffi smoking more of that crack rock. What's it called again? It's the
snake reefer.
Snake reefer. God. Oh man. People are going to be selling snake reefer. Star Trek Picard branded snake reefer.
I guarantee it in that pipe.
Yep. So here's our first, actually decent look in the show of the new ship. And it's called what did I just say it was called? The La Serena? La Serena?
Yes.
Which I had to look up because I was like, what is that? And it's apparently that's basically like a means mermaid.
Makes sense.
Okay.
Great name for a ship.
So when I first saw this, I was like, man, this is going to be a really small ship. And it is a really small ship, but it's actually a decent. It seems to be a decent size, but it's going to be small.
It's smaller than the Defiant.
It is, yes. It looks smaller than the Defiant. I want to say it's going to be also way smaller than. What was the name of the captain's yacht that was connected to the E that we saw in the first episode? I can't remember the name of it.
I can't remember that.
Way smaller than that, I would think, right?
I'd say it's about the size of, if you ever watch Legends of Tomorrow, of the Wave Rider.
It does remind me a lot of the Wave Rider.
Well,
but it's probably
piloted by one guy.
And his hologram.
Now,
which I thought...
Is this hologram of himself?
Yeah, his EMH is himself. Which is very... Creepy, yes. I mean, he could have chosen almost any form for his EMH, and he chose...
I mean, you're a lonely space pilot. You'd think it would have been a female. Not to objectify, but whatever.
Hey, I wouldn't have been surprised if it was a female. But,
or a strapping man, whatever, for trying to be PC, but not yourself.
Or maybe it would have been a good opportunity to bring back the Doctor.
Now, I would not have.
Up until... Actually, I don't remember any EMHs that weren't
Picard,
yeah, Ricardo. Picardo.
Yeah, his actual name was Robert Picardo.
I don't remember any of them. Are there any EMHs that we've seen before that were not played by him?
The EMH was only him and then himself again from First Contact, actually.
Yeah, but it wasn't him. It was just him. Yes. It wasn't the Doctor. It was just the same
program.
Yeah, it was just the same program. So yeah, this was really unusual. I don't think he really said how he got this piece of metal stuck in his shoulder, but he's got a big old piece of metal to prove that this guy's a tough guy.
It's kind of like, have you ever seen The Departed when they first see when they walk in and Jack Nicholson's just covered in blood and they never say why.
Yeah, it's just to show that he's a badass.
Exactly.
Yeah. This was a really cool scene. This is actually, I think, maybe one of my favorite scenes.
Speaking of badasses.
Yeah, so far, and for a particular reason, because I think it pops up some questions that I have about Picard, but I think they may be more connected to these two. But yeah, this guy almost gets his head blown off because he ducks down and literally a disruptor blast goes right by his head.
Dude, if they had killed him off, I would have been so pissed.
Yeah.
I actually would have taken her death over his.
Yeah, I mean, they get stormed by this. I'm assuming we're just going to go with this, that they're the
Romulan hit squad.
The Zhat Vash hit squad, yeah. And Picard actually gets in on the action with his cane, of all things, and goes right into battle. And I didn't get a good screenshot of it, but Picard gets tossed across the desk.
He gets chucked.
Yeah.
That girl took some damage.
She did, but he took some damage that if this was reality, a man his age,
his hip would have been shattered.
Yeah, he'd be getting a new hip right about now. He wouldn't be flying off into space, and he wouldn't be walking. That's for sure.
One thing I did like, it was like, even like, I don't know, she's not her. Obviously, that's not her brother, but he got some good hits in. It's like, they keep saying how they got their history, even though he's been acting all goofy. It's like, dude, in time of need, he busts out the guy Romulan busts out his badass moments.
Yeah, yes,
and they had guns everywhere.
That's what I was getting ready to say. So Picard, underneath his desk, had a phaser hidden, like
one of them.
Just one, yeah. And then there's another phaser underneath the coffee table.
I mean, they were full doomsday prepping.
Yeah, there obviously are phasers stashed all throughout this house, right? So, to me, I was like, all right, the Picard I know that we left in Next Generation days, I would not picture him stashing phasers around his house.
But you see, he's got 2 Romulan Secret Service agents.
Yes. So obviously he knew they were there. He wasn't. It's not like he didn't know. But and of course they're all on stun because Picard is all about phaser safety, right? But yeah, I definitely think that they are behind that. I think that they are the ones that would have stashed
that's totally
the phasers.
She knew exactly where it was.
Yeah, Picard definitely would not. How many times did we ever really see Picard use a phaser when he wasn't just like shooting a rock or something like that? Like I know him and Riker blew that one guy up.
True. One of my favorite episodes that they never followed through on.
We never heard anything about that ever again.
Insurrection. They had the phaser rifles.
Yes, they had the phaser rifles. And especially in the show, though, I don't think we really saw him use a phaser much
Well, that was
at
the
all.
whole idea.
Yeah, but he did here, and he knew how to use it. Now, this is where I got my eye on her, because she walks in and blasts another one of these guys, the hit squad that come out that they didn't know, that they thought they had already gotten them all. And she's acting all like, oh, I didn't know. I thought it was on stun. And I thought it was a pretty cool line how they were like, Romulan disruptors don't have a stun setting. Which was pretty cool. Yeah, that was a pretty cool line. But I don't know. I could be wrong, but I think she's full of shit. I think she was there on purpose, and this was all set up to put her there and to put more trust in her so that they will take her with them and she could kind of spy on them. Because I think not. What do you think?
I completely agree.
Yeah. Now I could be completely wrong,
and that's painfully a red herring.
Yeah, but I'm thinking, and I don't think they're making it that obvious. I just think that Commodore is holding something over her head to put her in a position where she can get some more information. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. So of course they find an opportunity to sit down and drink some more wine, right? I mean, because what else are you gonna do?
When in France.
Yeah. Now this part, we didn't talk about this on the first episode that we did, but these guys this is something I don't remember ever seeing before, but I didn't get it, did I? Yeah, they did. All right. So this acid that they spit.
Well, we got a whole lot more before we talk about that acid, but okay.
Well, I want to try to stay within this scene. I know there was a thing in between there, but
a couple of big things, but yeah.
But this acid that they spit, where the heck does this come from? And go ahead.
It's got to be like a false tooth or something,
Like how like all the spy movies have that like
It's a variation of that.
Yeah, like an arsenic tooth, but it completely dissolves them. And I think you can tell the anguish on Picard's face and I don't think he was upset that this guy just killed himself. I think he's upset because he totally ruined this nice chair.
Nice chair.
Yeah.
It's heirloom quality furniture. Remember
that's right. That's what
Raffi says. You live in nice heirloom quality furniture.
That chair is irreplaceable.
Absolutely. So let's go back. We got more.
Let's go back because we get introduced, this is a scene that.
This is the Aimless, which this whole room was of Romulans.
And what are you calling them now?
Aimless. A-I-M-S.
Aimless. Okay, because I told you before we started the show here. A lot of the dialogue in this scene, because I had a lot of distractions going on, I did not absorb it all.
Okay.
So I know the main thing was that Soji is surprised or very interested to see that these Aimless, these Borg that have been deborgified, have this like they have a mythology, like they have a mythology.
But everyone in this room was a Romulan. and more importantly, and this was, she even commented on this one. She starts talking more about these characters than she's like, how did she know what ship they were on?
Yeah, because they all came from the same ship.
This was also the last ship that cube had assimilated. And somehow that's where the flaw or the virus or whatever came through that caused the Borg Collective to withdraw it from them.
Gotcha.
And she was asking her, listen, you were part of the ship. What happened? And it wasn't, first of all, you talk about mythology. The lady, the Romulan was saying how she hated the word mythology.
Mm-hmm.
She preferred to call it news.
Mm-hmm.
And then she looks at her and she goes, I know you. I know you from, we met tomorrow. We met before. When was that? Tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then she started going a little nutsy.
Yeah, she did.
And then this is where things get interesting, because then they start talking. And she's saying, because she has this last piece of that puzzle. And in that puzzle, it has like two girls, like a Gemini's.
Mm-hmm.
And she's asking her, which one are you? Are you the one that lives or dies?
Yeah.
And then this guy here, while he's being tortured, and again, nice little dialogue between the two Romulans. He's a stubborn northerner like you.
Yeah.
She's going, they're both saying like, we're going to find her before you do. And this is where you actually just inspired my little mind-blowing moment, because then the woman grabs the disruptor off one of the guards, points it at her, and then goes, I know who you are. You are the destroyer. Mm-hmm. And that's when that guy said, she's the destroyer.
Yeah.
Here's the part that just got me, that with the whole Hugh thing and everything else. These synths are made as twins.
Mm-hmm.
Data lore. They were twins.
That's true.
One being good, one not.
Yeah, okay.
And they
I see where you're going with that.
Her the destroyer.
So which one
is she?
Is she the good one or is she the bad one?
Mm-hmm. Which almost now makes sense. Data lore, now we got two things that they're always going to be in pairs.
Okay.
Holy fuck. Lore's the one who uploaded the computer virus to destroy Mars. Oh, please.
Yeah,
There's so much speculation.
I mean, that was another thing that Picard and Raffi were kind of speculating on.
At the beginning. Touch on that.
We didn't even touch on that. Like, so they were basically trying to pin all of this on Romulans, but why would Romulans destroy a fleet that was being assembled to save them?
Right.
And real quick, because I want to go off on a quick little nerdy, sciencey tangent real fast.
Go for it.
I've seen the people online that are already complaining about how can they assemble a fleet in time to go save people from when there's a supernova coming their way, and that a supernova would just destroy everything almost instantly and you wouldn't be able to do anything about it. You never really know, one, where exactly that star is that went supernova, and you don't know how many other planets all these Romulans are on. They could be in a completely different system. So if they're in another...
And a supernova isn't a boom.
It can only move fast as light. So if they're in a neighboring star system, which I'm sure the Romulans have plenty, they spread their wings.
Romulan Empire.
And they're 4 light years away or whatever, or even 1 light year away, then that means when they find out that there's a nova, they can warp anywhere, prepare a fleet, they have a year time, and then warp to that planet, outrun the supernova, and evacuate people off the planet. That's... A lot of people online are just kind of complaining about that whole... They think it's like a whole plot hole thing. Even going back to the first of the new Star Trek movies. Mm-hmm. And it's not.
Right. By the way,
so I just wanted to get that out.
Sorry, I
Yeah,
just
what's up,
noticed you
guys?
Feel free, throw us questions. We love participation.
Yes. Um, so yeah, I just wanted to put that out there and it doesn't make sense. Like, why would the Romulans do that if they know that this is a fleet that's being assembled to help them out? But who would have motivation to do this?
So,
Who?
and
Yeah, who knows?
that's part of this whole thing. I mean, right now we've got 3 outlandish ideas, a couple that are really cool. One that the whole Q thing, which is like insane. I'm
Honestly,
really
I think
liking this
the
lore angle though.
yeah, I think I would like lore to be involved somehow. But honestly, I think what makes the most sense would be that the Vulcans are behind some kind of, or some small group of Vulcans are behind preventing the Romulan evacuation.
Hmm.
You know what I mean?
I know exactly.
If you put yourself in the shoes of a asshole Vulcan,
Oh, I know,
right,
racist,
and use logic, and say, okay, if this star is going nova, and if no one intervenes, pretty much the entire Romulan Empire is going to be destroyed. Then is it logical to interfere with that?
Correct.
Or is it logical to let it play out and be maybe for the better of the Federation?
After all, the needs of the many.
That's right.
Outweigh the needs. Now, go back to this. I guess is the next scene you've got her where the Romulan Borg girl is going nuts. Out of curiosity, what's the next scene you got?
Let me see here.
We got that, the anguish. Okay.
Oh yeah, here.
Not yet.
Yeah. Well, this is after. So you know what? I didn't get a screenshot of when she goes a little crazy.
Because you notice when she grabbed the gun and put it to her head. What's her name? I don't know why I'm blanking on her name. I remember Dodge. Soji. She used the android speed to get the gun from her.
Mm-hmm. She moved. Yeah, she moved quick.
She did. No, she was using the synthetic speed.
Now, do we think that, does Hugh know what she is?
I don't know.
We know the douchebag that's pretending to be her boyfriend knows who she is.
Oh, we'll get onto him.
Yeah, we know that, but I don't know if Hugh actually knows what she is. Yes, I purposely tried to get her face in the most awkward expression.
I am thinking that this mom, it is some kind of subroutine,
A subroutine, or this is someone
manipulating?
Manipulating. Like, there's another character that we'll see that's actually saying these words, manipulating her just to make it look like it's her false memory of her mom.
How's Dodge doing? Oh, she's fine. She's good. Actually, she's dead.
Well, and that was interesting that she knows who Dodge is, but Dodge did not know that she had a twin sister.
That's what I'm saying. I think this is almost like a self interface program that. Well, remember, these girls are only like 3 years old.
Yeah. So is there either someone that's on the other end of this that's manipulating her, or is this just something she's seeing that's not really happening?
And then she passed out asleep.
Yeah. Well, she got tired.
Yeah. And then he came in, that manipulative bastard.
Yes.
And that's what she said. How did I know that what's her name, that Romulan was on the last ship? I didn't know any of this stuff before. So all of a sudden it's like those databases were opening up in her head. She's like, I didn't know this a day ago that she was part of that last Romulan ship.
Mm-hmm.
And then
I would think that she's gonna be kind of second guessing what's going on here. Like, how is she doing these things?
Right.
At one point, we're gonna get that like cliche moment where she's gonna like have some sort of feat of strength or something like that. She's gonna be like, "What?" Because right now she hasn't acknowledged the fact that she could dart across a room in a split second and disarm somebody.
Well, I don't think she realized she did that.
Yeah, and like, how does she know? She acknowledges that she knows the other language, but doesn't how does she know the language?
Well, Hugh mentioned that. He said that. She said you mentioned knowing their language, even just a little bit helps.
Like, she's chalking it up to that she read a bunch of documents that are in the database, and
exactly.
She must have.
I've read every document in the ship.
Yeah, so she maybe didn't realize that she remembers it, but she just read it somewhere, so it's just kind of in there. I don't know.
Hmm.
But yeah, so what's her name? This chick shows up. I didn't. I don't know her name.
And then she basically said, "Oh, I smell her on you," and oh, dude, you just totally banged her.
Yeah, pretty much. She's now Romulan
Re-Romulized.
Romulized herself.
And
Uh,
they did not tell me they did not have Lannister vibes right then and there when she's smelling them.
it was a little, yeah, it was a little creepy. Even he got right up on her face and was like, you know, what, oh, he said, oh man, what did he say? He said, I see who you are, or something like that. But anyway, yeah, he like gets right up in her ear and like whispers in her ear, and
I
yeah, it
see
definitely
years
was.
back.
Yeah, it was. Oh no, I think he said something like you look much better this way, or something like that.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. So yes, I don't know. It's kind of weird. It kind of seemed to me like he just came out of her room, Soji's room,
he did.
and so they're just standing right outside
Well,
her room,
Soji's
pretty
blissfully
much.
asleep because
I suppose so, but
he laid some disruptor fire down,
we
and
haven't really found out like what exactly their motivations are. Like they obviously know where she is. They were trying to capture the other girl, but they're not trying to capture this girl.
well, they're trying to get the information from her.
So
What does
yeah,
she
but
know? What
like how? Like eh, are,
does she talk? If she talks in her sleep when fully satisfied by my Romulanism,
maybe, or are they gonna have to kidnap her and like Matrix Jack in the back of her head to download something? I don't know.
what is that? I call it the. Never mind.
After all of these really awesome modern day special effects, I want there to be a scene where she pulls a panel out of her head and you got that cheap circuitry and
The
lights,
cheap positronic,
the
the
positronic neural net.
the flap,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
flap in the head. I always loved that. Was one of my favorite effects.
yeah. I like how he would just like remove a big chunk of his hair, just like Donald Trump. Anyway,
You went there.
I did. I had to. Um,
Oh, and apparently this guy's got he's got the trope of the jaded soldier. We didn't talk too much on that one. When Picard met him, and he's like,
oh yeah, you know what? Totally
"You
skipped over that
you
scene.
love Star Trek, but I look at this ship and I see Starfleet everywhere. This whole ship is up to perfect Starfleet regulations."
Yes, and he's like, "You are Starfleet."
And he's like, "God damn it! They warned me you were a speech maker."
Yeah, that was cool.
And then, his medical program, talking to himself, was convincing him, "Dude, it's Picard. You should be happy." And then Raffi was doing the hacking, and then found that 3 point thing, which is plot point.
Yeah, yeah. But I thought it was cool. You know, he beams up, and of course he's bringing Dr. Girardi with him. And I kind of thought that the two Romulans were going to come with him, but I guess they're not.
They're maintaining the harvest.
Yeah, so I thought that was weird. They're like his bodyguards. But anyway, um, and there's Raffi on the ship, but she's literally basically saying, "I'm not going to stick around. I'm just going."
For the ride to Free Point.
I'm going to Freepoint with this one ride and that's it. Then after that you're on your own, which we know that's probably not going to happen. She's going to tag along. But then we get that really cool moment where they just kind of look at Picard and they're like, okay, we're kind of waiting on you here, and he says,
Go for it. You get to do it.
engage. That was an awesome moment.
And the music.
Yes,
We got to hear that Star Trek music again. Oh, so good.
it was good. So
Um,
all in all, I mean, I felt like this was a really good episode, and I'm thinking like kind of expecting there's going to be a dip somewhere. Usually, it's in these kind of shows there is, but so far, I haven't seen any evidence of it kind of dipping down and having the. This is why I like this format. Like if you put it on regular network TV and they order 20 episodes, you're gonna get a few good ones. You're gonna get a dip. You're gonna get one where it's like, you skip
you got
it.
the filler where they're fighting over the
Yeah,
cat.
yeah.
Whatever.
And like, granted, every single episode of Next Generation I do love, but there are plenty of filler in there.
Even the episode with the sex ghost.
At all of them. Now they didn't have major arcs. They had 2-parters and 3-parters, but they didn't do arcs. So there's that too. But so they didn't have to stay on the rails like this podcast never does stay on the rails. But in a show like this, where I'm assuming, I don't even know how many episodes we're going to get, but I'm assuming it's going to be in the 8 to 10 range. It's easier for them to make a nice arc story.
They're giving us just enough information, not enough to be like make us scream, "What the fuck's going on?" It's like they raise a question, and you get an answer. First episode, you hear the whole thing, and then the synthetic invasion of Mars. Synthetic invasion of Mars? Oh.
But you get the information, but you also get a lot more questions too, because every episode we're getting more questions, which is, I like that because it keeps you.
You get the satisfaction.
Yeah, it kind of keeps you baited, It's like you got a reason to tune in next week.
And it's also not like, okay, this is the guy who did it, but who commanded him? Oh, this guy commanded him, but who commanded him? They're not doing that kind of stupid stuff.
Yeah.
We got why do the Romulans have a cube? Oh, this is why the Romulans have the cube. Who's running this operation? Oh, this guy's running it. But we still don't know why they're doing it. We'll probably get that episode. Oh, they did mention that. When he was talking about people don't like the XBs, the X-Borgs, they look them more as like slave labor, but the Romulans have a more unique use for us. Which that is the next question. What is that unique use they're having for the XBs? Which means that the X-Borgs are much more common than we think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm
so
still
it's
in.
Gonna be...
I'm vested. I'm
yeah, definitely. I'm honestly vested before.
They got to do something stupid for me to not like this.
There are some assholes on YouTube. Listen, we're probably could qualify as assholes on YouTube too.
Yes.
But there are assholes on YouTube that are literally every single episode of this show, they are picking it apart and they're finding shit to complain about, which, go figure, the internet would find stuff to complain about. But I don't know if you watch, there's a dude, Nerdrotic, and there's another guy, it's like Dave something, and there's two things going on, or one of two things going on here. Either they're assholes, and they're just finding shit to complain about, even though they may truly like the show. They already made up their mind before the show came on that they weren't going to like it. And so they got confirmation bias, and they're finding those things to complain about.
This is like the Star Trek equivalent of The Mandalorian. I'm getting everything I want.
I know, but everyone's not happy for some reason. Or they know that there are people out there like that. So if they make YouTube videos that are focused on tearing apart the show, that they're going to get a lot of views. And in either case, they can just fuck off. Because as far as I'm concerned, there is nothing so far in the show that really is to complain about. They're trying to make these connections to woke social justice stuff. It's not there.
And, oh, wait, it's not. I mean...
You can maybe make the subtlest of things about the whole, their lives and all that, but it's not what they're making it out to be.
But remember, Star Trek was woke before woke.
Star Trek is woke before woke, and that's another thing that even if you're going to find something that you're going to say is woke in Star Trek, that's what Star Trek was. The foundation of Star Trek is all about diversity and what's that?
Do you know the story of the kiss?
The kiss.
Yes.
Oh, the Kirk and Uhura kiss?
Yes.
Yeah.
They didn't know. They weren't going to let them do that.
Mm-hmm.
That was the first take. That was the first take they did, and they're like, "No, we can't use this." So every other take, the rest of the takes, Shatner purposely screwed them up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they pretty much forced their hand into using that.
But he was.
But
Roddenberry
that wasn't.
Was all about that. He was specific.
That was network douchebags that didn't want to use
Right.
that. Yeah, it was that Roddenberry was all about that. Obviously he wrote it,
He was about social justice before it was a thing.
and it wasn't about. And I didn't want to like make a big, political thing out of this, but it wasn't about there being social justice and wokeness and all that back
No,
then. It was just like, hey, you know what? Wouldn't a world like this be a pretty good place to live?
that was the future he wanted.
Why don't we showcase that, and maybe people will want to make that happen? Now, I'm not saying we did. We're not coming anywhere close to making that happen. But that's what Star Trek's foundation was. That was the whole thing. It wasn't just like, hey, I want to make spaceships fly around in space, and that's, and space battles, and that's not what it is. It from the beginning was about diversity.
I mean,
When you get to a world where you're meeting aliens and there's all these different colors, and that's why I think they made them look so outlandish, like bright blue and different, green, tentacles, antenna. When you get to all that stuff, what does it matter what the different colors of your own species are?
And he actually did an episode about that. What was I'm blanking on it, where the black on the left side of the face, white on the right side of the face. But the other guy was white on the right side of the face and black on the left side of the face. And they were the last two of their race, and they had to kill each other.
That's right. Winston says, to go where no man has gone before. And they did.
Mm-hmm. I am missing a monologue, though. From
I do. Yeah, I was going to say that. That's one thing I do miss.
I mean,
who knows? Maybe we'll get that in season 2.
That was, what? As funny as it is, I think that's one of the reasons why I couldn't get into Enterprise.
Oh, really? Just because of that?
Didn't have a monologue.
Did
Discovery have a monologue?
Discovery, I don't think does, but I also don't think that Deep Space Nine did either, because I just started watching that. Did that have a monologue?
Deep Space did not have a monologue.
It just shows music and the spacey stuff.
But damn it, it needs the monologue back.
Yeah. So, well, we'll see. Maybe at the end of this season, maybe we'll get a monologue from Picard.
That's exactly how I want it to end.
Yeah.
Space, the final frontier.
After all, he does like his speeches.
As long as he does it in a chair.
Yeah. All right, let's wrap this up, Dave.
On that note, that's the perfect note.
All right, so I didn't miss this in the beginning. I'm a bad YouTuber. To anyone that is watching, we appreciate your views. Please hit the subscribe button. Like we said yesterday on the main Figure Action podcast, 28% of the viewers of this channel are not subscribed. So come on, guys, help us out here.
Give us a like.
Button.
Give us a subscribe. And you know what? It's kind of like what Joe was talking about a minute ago. If you are enjoying this show, if you know other people who are enjoying this show, Joe and I are enjoying the show, and we are loving these conversations. So we would love to have you guys hit the chat room, toss us some questions, toss us some ideas that we may have missed, because if anything nerds are good at is catching what other nerds miss, which is a good thing. And we want positivity. This is a fantastic show. If you are annoyed by some of the negativity, join us. We're here for you.
Yeah, screw those other guys. All right.
And tell them I'm pulling their asses out.
All right, everybody. We'll see you again next week after episode 4 of Star Trek Picard. Good night.
Peace.